This is Tom from BlackToad Studio, and here is my 1850 points of red scorpions. So, leading this little band of scorpions, as you probably know by now, is Severin Loth. He has picked all of his psychic powers from the Biomancy table, as he is allowed to, as per his rules. With him it is a four-man honor guard squad. They have a chapter banner, 2 relic blades, and 2 tiers of scorpion axes. And to their left over here, we have a librarian as a second HQ choice. He's mastery level 3 and he has a 4 stave, so he's armed as is. He also has digital weapons. He is joining the Cataphracti Terminator squad of 7 strong, 3 lightning claws, 3 power fists, and a heavy flamer, and obviously the sergeant there has a power sword. Now, both these squads here both have transports. The Terminator squad here is going in the Castus Assault Ram, who has 1 upgrade, which is the Armoured Ceramite. And then the Land Raider Helios here is stock, other than the fact that he has a Dozer blade. Moving over to the right here, we have a Contemptor Dreadnought with multi-melter, and he's just basically stock, so no other upgrades on him. And then at the front here, we have 2 troop choices, which is basically 2 10-man tactical squads, both with the Apothecary upgrade on them, and a melter gun, and both the sergeants are carrying melter bombs. So that is my 1850 points. And I'll see how they do.
It's Tom from BlackToad Studios, and this is my 1850 points of Militarum Tempestus. So in this army I have got a combined arms detachment as well as an airborne assault formation. So let's go through the combined arms element. So at the front here we have got the command squad. He's armed with a plasma pistol. He has got 2 plasma guns in his squad, and they are rocking up in a Torx Prime with Gatling cannon and auto cannons. And then also we've got 2 more Torx Primes, and both squads that are mounted up are armed identically. So we've got a hotshot volley gun and we've got a melter gun, and so both squads are armed the same. Also here we've got 2 more troops. This squad here has got a plasma pistol and a melter gun in that 5-man squad. And back here we have got a grenade launcher, a bolt pistol and a melter gun in this 5-man squad. So that's a combined arms element. Going back here, we have got the airborne assault formation. So this formation is 4 Valkyries, 3 basic squads and a commissar and a command squad there. So the Valkyries, all but 1, have got missile pods and multi-lasers. And this one here has got 2 Hellstrike missiles and a las cannon there. And the squads, starting over here, we have got a 6-man squad with a melter gun and a plasma pistol. We have got the command squad here with a medic, a commissar with melter bombs, a power sword, 2 volley guns and a melter gun. Here we've got a 7-man squad with a volley gun and a melter gun. And same here, another 7-man squad with a volley gun and a melter gun. The commander of this army is this gentleman here. His warlord trait is Grav Shoot Commander or Commando. Basically that means you can re-roll reserve rolls, and when scattering deep strike it's only 1d6 rather than 2. So very handy for this army. So that's my army, and let's have a look at the mission and battlefield. So here we are with the mission and deployment. So today we are doing Crusade. We've got 3 objectives on this battlefield. We've got 1 here. We have got 1 there. And we have got the wounded or dead commissar on the landing pad there. On this battlefield, we've got the Militarum Tempestus deployed over here behind this Promethean line. We're not using that. The rules for that is just cover in this game. Moving across here, we have got the Scorpions deployed. We have got the Contemptor here. We have got 2 Rhinos here with both the tactical squads loaded up. And we have got the Land Raider Helios here with the Honor Guard, I believe, in there. So that is the mission. It's currently night fighting. The Red Scorpions will be going first, unless, of course, I can seize. So here we go. No. So turn 1 for the Scorpions coming right up. Turn 1 movement for the Scorpions, and they have pushed up along here. The Land Raider, the Rhino and Contemptor are happily going for this objective here. This one here, however, is split off from the main group and is going for that objective there. So that is their movement. We will see what they're going to do shooting, if anything, and let's have a look. Shooting phase, turn 1 for the Scorpions, and the Dreadnought here, he ran only a couple of inches just to get past that barricade. This Rhino's relocated slightly, possibly to get a better fire position onto the Tauroxes there, and the Land Raider used Power of the Machine Spirit to fire this las cannon through onto that Taurox Prime. It hit, it penetrated, but because of the night fighting and the cover save, he passed quite happily the save needed there. So we're going to move on now to turn 1 for the Militarum Tempestus to see what they can do in return. Right, turn 1 for the Militarum Tempestus, and basically the Taurox Primes are just shuffled around ever so slightly. We're not quite ready to go in for the full-on attack yet, so these two have just repositioned to get autocannon shots off into the Rhino there. This one here is also repositioned to get some shots down towards that Rhino. There we go, just seeing it there, and get some plasma shots from the fire position onto that one there. So we're not expecting too much damage to be dealt out this turn, but we're just holding back until we can get a bit of support in. So let's have a look to see what we can do in our turn 1 shooting. Turn 1 shooting, and not much happened as predicted. We had the autocannons all over here firing into the Rhino. Because of night fighting, it got a bit of a cover save. We did one glancing hull point to that one. We also had plasma gun firing coming in here, had a penetrating hit, but the cover save from night fighting on top of that was pretty good, so we passed that as well. So we're going to move on to turn 2 for the Scorpions to see what turns up. Turn 2 movement for the Red Scorpions, and the assault ram has flown on. He's moved straight from the corner. He's going straight into the Militarum Tempestus' face. This thing's going to be firing off a nasty shells or melter fire in there. The Rhino has moved off of the objective, leaving it for the Razorback that's just crawled onto it. The Dreadnought is constantly moving forwards here, and this Rhino is possibly going to unload its cargo in the future into the trench line, but not quite yet. Over here, this Rhino is holding ground at the moment, possibly waiting to see what happens in the next couple of phases. So let's move on to turn 2 shooting for the Red Scorpions to see what they're going to do. Turn 2 shooting for the Red Scorpions, and this thing came in, fired its melter cannon there. Over here, the blast scattered slightly, but still hit both of the Tauroxes. Wasn't able to penetrate this one, but did a penetrating and shaken and stunned this this one here, so he cannot move. He can still snap shoot, which is quite handy with twin link guns. Over here, this Taurox took damage from the Land Raider, firing both its las cannons in. Both hit, both penetrated, but a cover save protected it from one. He is shaken, so he can still move, but he's snap shooting next turn. And I believe that is it for the Scorpions this turn. We're going to move on to turn 2 for the Militarum Tempestus to see what they can do in return to this savagery. Right, turn 2 for the Militarum Tempestus, and everything has come on. We've got the air support here. All 4 Valkyries have flown on here. The squad here attempted a grab shoot insertion, but it went wrong, and they've gone back into ongoing reserve. They had another foot slogging squad that deep struck in, but they scattered in and have gone also into reserve. So all the air support here targeting this Rhino and flying over. It's going to be relocating the next turn. This Valkyrie here with the Hell Strikes and the las cannon has gone for the assault ramp to try and cause that thing to jink or possibly take it out of action. Who knows? The 2 Taurox Primes here have moved up, and they are going to be lining up some shots on the side armour of that Rhino there with the auto cannons, possibly trying to pop and expose its juicy innards. And this Taurox back here, the command one, obviously he's not going to be doing anything, possibly trying some snapshots, but that is it. So let's move on to shooting to see what the guard can do. Turn to shooting for the Militarum Tempestus, and unfortunately not a lot happened. This Taurox Prime decided to snapfire its autocannons up into the air. Didn't do anything to it, although the las cannon fired in and took 1 hull point off of that, glancing it, so it's lost 1. It hasn't jinked, so it's still at full capacity. The autocannons from both of these fired into the Rhino, just there, and took off 1 more hull point from glancing. Back here, the squad came in, they fired a melter gun in there, it hit and didn't do anything. Both Valkyries fired multi-lasers into that Rhino and did nothing. We had plasma fire from here that also went into that Rhino. Unfortunately, one of the Scions decided that he put his plasma gun too hot and he melted. So not particularly a great turn, but we're going to see how it all goes in Red Scorpion's turn 3. Alright, we're on turn 3 movement for the Scorpions, and we're going to put this one live on camera. We've got Tom has decided not to get his Terminators out because he wants to use the ram for what it's there for. So we're going to plan out a route here for it. It's going to go flat out across here, bam, bam, and then stopping here. Alright, so the first ram will be onto this Valkyrie here. The armour is 12 on the side for the Valkyrie, and it's armour 13, plus it's a tank, so it's got a strength 8 hit on the Valkyrie, and its rules are you can roll 2d6 for the penalty. Yep, so right, for the first one.
This is the strength.
Right, okay, so nothing there. 9, 10, 11.
No, not enough. So
no, not enough, so it stops pretty much there.
Opposing hit,
I can't do anything to that.
I don't do anything, so essentially we stop that here.
Yeah, okay, so place that model there, and we'll carry on with movement. So carrying on with turn 3 movement for the Scorpions. This Rhino here tried to get into the defence line there, but unfortunately on its last hull point he rolled double 1s on his terrain checks and it's destroyed itself. So the Scorpions here have disembarked in front of the ground forces of the Tempestus. The Dreadnought is still happily moving through the trench line there. Over here as well, the Scorpions have deployed to face off against this squad here, as they are still a threat with that melter gun. The Land Raider is staying put, and of course we've got the assault ram there that has moved and is stopped there after a failed ram attack. So we're going to move on to turn 3 psychic and shooting for the Scorpions to see what they're going to get up to. Turn 3 psychic and shooting for the Red Scorpions, and started the phase with Blessing of the Machine onto the assault ram. As it went for a ram attack, the guys on board and the ram itself would be snap firing, but getting this power off with the Librarian on board, it was able to use power of the Machine Spirit. So then with that in effect, he fired the melter weapon into the further of the 2 Valkyries, and it didn't do anything. It hit, but double 1s. Pretty bad there, so yeah, not good. And really, what else we have? We had fire coming in here at the Taurox. We had the multi-melter firing as well, nothing. We had the Land Raider firing its normal las cannons as well, nothing on that. Then it fired its whirlwind launcher into the squad. The squad went to ground, but they were then they were destroyed. It was no protection whatsoever. This squad of Scorpions from the tactical squad fired up into the Valkyrie. Valkyrie didn't jink, which was quite fortunate as he didn't actually do any damage to it. So it's quite a slow game so far, not enough firepower, and a lot of 1s being rolled all over the place. So we're going to move on to turn 3 for the Militarum Tempestus to see if they can do anything in return. Alright, so turn 3 movement. This squad have come back from reserve and have been deployed here via deep strike next to the Contemptor there. Both Tauroxes have unloaded their cargo of Scions, and they're deployed in front of the Scorpions there, hoping to do a bit of damage, but we're going to see what they can actually do against them. This Valkyrie here is still in flight mode, still got men on board, and is just coming around the perimeter, just relocating for now. He's also joined by the command Valkyrie here, which is also still in flight mode, just going around the perimeter. The second command Taurox down here is just relocated, possibly going to put some Gatling fire up into the assault ramp. Autocannon fire into the assault ramp, or Gatling fire into the Scorpions over there. Undecided at the moment. This Valkyrie, however, has gone into flight mode, hover mode, and unloaded its cargo of stormtroopers there. Moving across the battlefield, you'll also notice this one here has also gone into hover mode. Hopefully be putting rocket pods down into this big blob of Scorpions. The squad that were also in reserve as well have come in, and they have fallen back into this cover, and they will be putting some fire also onto the Scorpions. So there's potential here to do a lot of damage, but so far the luck on both sides hasn't been particularly good. So we're going to have a look now to see if the dice gods, we're back in favour with them, hopefully. Right, so turn 3 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus. This squad here fired into the Contemptor, did a penetrating hit with the melter gun. There's potential to take it out, but it's past its save. This squad then fired into it and fired the melter gun and penetrated, and it is next turn not able to move and snap firing. So that is something. That's some sort of blessing there. The squad here have been lowered down by 6 Marines. They took fire from this squad here and the Taurox primes there, all firing their Gatlers and autocannons and hot shots, etc., and took a big chunk out of that squad there. So that's not too bad at all. Moving across the battlefield, you'll see that this squad down here, they also took a lot of damage. The Apothecary has gone from that squad. They took fire from this squad here, and from the Valkyrie's rocket pods and multi-laser there, and yeah, did a bit of damage there. Taking the Apothecary out was it's going to be very helpful in the upcoming turns. This squad here tried a lucky shot with the melter gun. Even though if it's out of melter range, we did fire in. We had the potential to do a bit of damage, but unfortunately nothing happened there. So there's going to be no assault because it would be suicide charging in. So we are going to move on to turn 4 for the Scorpions. Turn 4 movement for the Red Scorpions. And the luck continues with the dice god here. The Cassius assault ramp went into hover mode, then decided to move off of the terrain and mobilised itself. But the Terminators have disembarked and they will be engaging this Valkyrie without a doubt there. Across the battlefield here, we've got the Honour Guard with the Librarian coming out of the Land Raider, and they will be most probably charging into the Tempestus there. These Marines have gone round to kind of take a flank and possibly protect the Dreadnought from any further attacks. Over here, the squad have slightly relocated, shuffling and pointing their bolt guns in the directions of the Scions. The Rhino has come round onto the flank there to protect it from a crossfire from the Valkyrie and the squad there. So there's potential here to do a lot of damage to the Tempestus forces, but we're going to see how it goes in turn 4 psychic and shooting for the Red Scorpions. Turn 4 for the Red Scorpions, psychic and shooting, and in the psychic phase the Scorpions are able to do reforge onto the assault ramp, taking the immobile result away. So it's gone back into hover mode. It fired a multi-melter shot into the Valkyrie, blowing it up, sending shrapnel, but of course shrapnel didn't really do much to the Terminators. The Terminators then opened up fire with a combi bolter and a heavy flamer and took out the majority of that squad. There were a couple of survivors which were then picked off here by the Scorpions here that fired in, ripping them apart. Moving over here, the Land Raider fired the 2 las cannons down into this Taurox, taking 1 hull point from a glancing hit. The Whirlwind launcher then fired over towards the stormtroopers there, killing 1 off, causing a morale check, and they broke, and there's 4 of them falling back there. Over here though, pretty much nothing really happened. A few bolt gun shots went off, a snap firing multi-melter, and didn't cause any casualties there. Although the Honour Guard fired their bolt pistols into the squad here and took 2 of them out there. So I believe they're going to try a multi-assault onto the Tauroxes as well as the Stormtroopers, and we will see how that goes in Assault Turn 4. Turn 4 assault for the Red Scorpions, and it got very bloody very quickly. The Honour Guard here charged in, issuing a challenge to the leader of the Scions. The Scions obviously accepted, but before he could do anything, he was quickly decapitated. The axes here then cut apart this Taurox here. This one suffered 1 glancing hit, but is still in the game. And that is it for their turn 4. So we're going to move on to turn 4 for the Militarum Tempestus, and hopefully we can bring it back a little bit from this bloodbath. Turn 4 for the Militarum Tempestus, and in the movement phase it's getting very tactical now. So this squad are holding their ground here. These of course rallied because they are scions of the Emperor and they do not fear anything, and they're going to fire shots in there. This Taurox though has reversed to put in full firepower into the Honour Guard and hopefully do a bit of damage to them there. The second command Taurox here have deployed the remains of that squad out, and they're going to put some fire into the rear of the Terminators. This battlefield is looking very good now. There's a lot of going on here. The command Valkyrie with my Warlord and his retinue have it's gone into hover mode, and they have deployed down here. Now part of the formation rule means they are twin linked and they can split fire this turn, so that is going to be hopefully quite good. Potentially it's going to work out well. Here we've got the other squad of Scions are pushed up through the cover with this Valkyrie as well. That's flown over. We attempted a very ballsy deep strike here. Unfortunately we did scatter, even though we're only scattering 1d6, we did scatter in and have gone into reserve, so they'll be turning up next turn. But I was just saying to Tom that it might work out in my favour because I might need them further down the line. This Valkyrie here is still in hover mode, although it did get a mobile on top, which is not too bad. There's worse places to be immobilised, and it's got a good line of sight across the board here, so we can pick our targets. So we are going to move on now to turn 4 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus, and hopefully we can lay the pain out for them. Alright, so turn 4 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus. So this squad here fired what they had into the Honour Guard there. Killed it off the banner, and their 2-up saves are just keeping these guys going at the moment. They also took fire from this Taurox Prime here. That also fired in, trying to kind of do a bit of a crossfire there. Didn't really do much. These guys here fired into the Terminators from the rear, and the saves were just kept coming, and these guys were pretty safe there. Moving across, this squad of Scions that rallied, fired a melter gun, hit, penetrated, but the save protected them there. Over here, this squad attempted a split fire order. Unfortunately, the split fire didn't go off, so the whole squad decided to fire into the squad of Scorpions here, leaving only 1 standing. This squad here, the melter gun actually finally hit its mark, hit the Land Raider, penetrated and blew it sky high there. So that is completely, just completely gone. And finally, the only other shooting we had here was the Valkyrie up here firing missile pods and a multi-laser down here, and only took out 1 of the Terminators, although we did have like 11 hits, well no, 12 hits in total with the multi-laser, and only 1 went down. So they are very, very lucky, these boys, at the moment. We're going to move on to turn 5 now for the Scorpions to see what they're going to do to counter this offensive. Turn 5 movement for the Scorpions. The Contemptor here has kind of climbed over the battlements towards a squad of Stormtroopers that have been causing him a lot of jip in this conflict. Over here, the Honour Guard are now facing the threat, the ones that took out 1 of their entourage. Over here, the squad of Tactical Marines is falling back near to the objective. The Rhinos just drived straight over it. The assault ramp has shuffled around slightly in hover mode and is lining up some shots. Over here, the Terminators and the last remaining Tactical Marine have jumped onto that objective there. So they're just jumping onto objectives to seeing what they can do at the moment. So we're going to move on to Psychic Shooting to see what the Scorpions are going to do to make sure they're going to keep these objectives secure. Turn 5 shooting for the Red Scorpions. Over here, bolt pistols charged into that squad there, did nothing at all. Contempt fired its multi-melting storm bolter, killing a few of the squad off. They're broke and they're falling back again. The Cassius assault ramp got split fire off, and it fired, and it got another hull point in the psychic phase back. And basically just fired and ripped apart most of the squads down here. Killed the entire squad there, did a hull point onto that Valkyrie, and killed pretty much all but the commander in that squad there. And that is about it for shooting. I think we've got an assault phase coming up, so let's have a look to see what the Red Scorpions are going to do in their turn 5. Right, so turn 5 assault for the Scorpions, and just fumbles here unfortunately. Nothing happened in Overwatch, and moving through terrain didn't work out. Over here, the Contemptor attempted to cut down the fleeing Scions, but maybe saw a bit of mercy and decided not to in the end. But yeah, that didn't happen there. We're going to move on to turn 5 for the Stormtroopers, for the Militarum Tempestus, although I just realised I've got the leadership check to do on the Warlord, just there. Uh-oh, that's not good. No, there we go, we're okay. So let's move on to turn 5 for the Militarum Tempestus. Turn 5 movement for the Militarum Tempestus. This command squad are just pushing up slightly towards the Terminators, just be more of a pain than anything else. Taurox Prime is still staying there, still within range for its main weapons to do some damage. This Taurox Prime is kind of lining up 2 shots, possibly against the HQ there, and also against that squad there possibly. This squad here just shuffled along the trench slightly towards that squad to put a bit of firepower in. Also the Warlord, here he is, he's coming in, he's going to possibly attempt an assault depending on how the rest of the shooting goes there. Across the battlefield however, this Valkyrie that was shaken and stunned has moved up within 3 inches in hover mode of that objective. This Valkyrie here in hover mode has spun round, lining up a las cannon shot there. This Valkyrie, of course, being immobile, has got 2 targets really to pick from here. And finally, this squad that were in ongoing reserve have now popped in and just jumped onto this objective there. So they are happily securing that. I think if the game continues, the Scorpions will have more targets to worry about than this squad. But I have been wrong, so we will find out. We're going to move on now to shooting, and let's see what happens. Turn 5 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus. Well, this squad opened up fire upon the tactical squad that was there. They were also joined by both of the Taurox Primes firing their Gatlas in as well, reducing the squad down to 1 Marine there. So 1 man still stands with the Rhino. Right, so moving across here, we had fire coming in from all 3 of the Valkyries that are all in different states, and nothing to him at all. Although 2 Terminators did die to the plasma fire and hotshot fire that came in from the rear, and that was pretty much it. Although this squad over here did scatter out somewhat just to avoid any incoming fire from any other weapons that will be coming in if this game continues into turn 6. So we have got 1 assault with the Warlord making a desperate charge in, and that will be it. So let's have a look to see if the Warlord can get into combat. Right, so turn 5 assault for the Militarum Tempestus, and the Warlord charged in here. He did 2 penetrating hits onto the Rhino. He didn't blow it up, he has immobilised it and stunned it, so it can snap fire next turn, and it isn't going anywhere. So it's on 1 hull point there. Right, so Tom, do you roll to see if the game continues into turn 6?
Certainly can.
It does. So on to turn 6 for the Red Scorpions. Turn 6 movement for the Scorpions, and the Contemptor here has left cover. He is going to go for line breaker and possibly chase down these 2, but we will see. The Honour Guard, however, are shuffling around, rejigging themselves, ready to assault the Stormtroopers there. Over here, This tactical marine is edged around the side of the Rhino after hearing a bit of a pounding on the armour. He's come around to investigate to find the Warlord, quite happily hitting it with a power fist. And the unit of the battle so far, the Cassius assault ramp, which has had a very up and down story throughout, has immobilised himself again. So he was in hover mode and decided to move along and immobilised himself and lost another hull point. So I don't know many vehicles that immobilise themselves twice in a game, let alone a flyer. So not good. Terminators here have shuffled up and they are heading towards the hovering Valkyrie there to knock that off the objective and secure it from themselves, taking it from the Tempestus force. So we're going to move on to turn 6, psychic and shooting for the Scorpions to see if they can finish off the Scions. Turn 6, psychic and shooting for the Scorpions, and these guys came under fire again even as they fled. The Contemptor is firing rounds towards them, not particularly pleasant construction. Over here, bolt pistols came in as well at the squad, didn't do anything there. This tactical marine rapid fired into the commander, causing 1 wound on him. The librarian over there cast off warp metal armour onto the Rhino, improving its armour value by 1 all over to make it a bit more resilient to the power fist attacks. Also, the librarian here cast off Fury of Mars, a haywire attack onto that Valkyrie there, and it caused 1 more hull point there. It was also fired upon once again by the Cassius assault ramp, and didn't do anything to the Valkyrie. Hit but was unable to penetrate, and that is it for shooting. We're going to move on to assault now, where it's going to get a little bit more tasty. So let's move on to turn 6 assault for the Red Scorpions. Turn 6 for the Red Scorpions, and in assault here, this honor guard came in and pretty much just sliced apart the stormtroopers. They did get one hit and 1 wound back, but except for that, it was nothing. Over here, the Warlord for the Tempestus killed off the Rhino there. And over here, the Valkyrie is down. We've got green Valkyrie down. It's not good. It came just crashing down to the ground as the power fists just cracked through the armour, and unfortunately it was too much, and the Valkyrie's gone down. So we're going to move on to turn 6 now for the Tempestus, and hopefully they're going to be able to put a bit of resistance up before the end, and we're going to have a look to see how that turns out. 6 for the Militarum Tempestus. Turn 6 movement for the Militarum Tempestus. So up this side here, we've got the second in command with his retinue and a Taurox Prime. They're going to put some firepower into the Marine, also into the Terminators possibly. The Valkyrie is staying put. This Valkyrie is in hover mode, and he is almost onto that objective there. He's possibly going to go flat out in the shooting phase and see if he can jump onto that. This Taurox Prime just shuffled round slightly. I'm tempted to put some firepower into this Marine here to take him off. If he fails, the leader's going to have to power fist him to death. But it's very close. His body's piling up everywhere here. It's absolutely brutal and bloody battle so far. So we're going to move into shooting turn 6 for the Militarum Tempestus. Turn 6 shooting for the Militarum Tempestus. So over here we have plasma fire coming into the Terminators. I think we killed 2 off in total. 2 Terminators have fallen there. We also had the Gatler and autocannon fire as well. Although up here the hotshot volley gun fired into the lone Marine there and took him out of action. The Valkyrie then hovered up, and I think at the moment it's contesting it with the Terminators there, but we'll measure it up if the game ends. Moving across here, we had this other Taurox fire its Gatlers and autocannon into the lone Red Scorpion there and took him out of action. The commander though has kind of sneaked round and is currently on the other side of the wreck, avoiding the honor guard, which it would be certain death to face those. So that is it. Everything has moved, and we'll have a look to see if it will continue. Tom, do you care to roll? No. So it's game over. We're going to have a quick add up of the scores, and we will be back with you. So as the smoke clears there is one victor that stands, and it is the Militarum Tempestus with a score of 7-1 at the end. It was a very close and very bloody battle throughout, and myself and Tom were just speaking, if the game would have continued for one more turn, it probably would have been a draw, possibly even a Scorpion victory, with the Honour Guard here charging up to either contest there, or maybe even being able to do some damage to the 1 wound warlord that's hiding on the other side. He would have had the Contemptor there. He would have been able to rip this Valkyrie from the skies, and then the Tempestus in there wouldn't have been able to done anything. Possibly contest, but I somewhat doubt that. And over here, it would have remained in Tempestus control there. So yeah, a very, very good game, but went both ways quite often. I think Tom will agree on that one there. So Tom, do you have a model of the match and one that possibly could have performed a bit better?
I'm going to go with, actually, it's kind of a joint one.
Okay.
Because it's the combination of that Librarian with the Technomancy and the Cassius Assault Ram.
Yeah.
Because it gives it some very interesting synergy.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting synergy between the Librarian and the Cassius Assault Ram.
Should have done a lot better.
And the Ram, yeah. The Ram, yeah, like I said earlier, it's weird that this vehicle has immobilised itself twice in one game.
Took out more men than it did vehicles.
Yeah, definitely very good anti-personnel with a large template multi-melter. Not too great with the vehicles, it's got to get a lot closer to the vehicles. But yeah, it's a major threat, it's a horrible vehicle. For myself, it would possibly be the command squad at the rear. Basically, it's survivability. He did a lot of damage when he came on. But yeah, he's been quite good. The Taurox Primes have been kind of very kind of hit and miss. They could have done a lot more damage, but they've only been able to pick off 1 or 2 Marines. So it's been a very interesting game. I hope you've all enjoyed watching it. We've definitely enjoyed playing it. So if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe for plenty more content, especially coming up into 8th edition. And so this is Dom and Tom from BlackToad Studios. Take care.